Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, August the 11th, 2019. We're going to do a methane update. I have latest data from CAMS and NOAA from both Saturday, August the 10th to look at, and we're going to also do an Arctic sea ice update and whatever else comes up. So here we have methane data from Saturday. This is from Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services. And I have, so as Saturday the 10th up, Arctic view and surface level. And so this is where it left off on Friday. And we're seeing a huge change since last week during my weekly report that I'm trying to keep up with to put up on YouTube. And we're seeing massive releases in Siberia and also high releases now in the Kara Sea. They're moving out also into the Laptev Sea. And you'll see high releases in the Scandinavian countries, and you'll see. So let's run this movie for the Arctic. And if you'd like more detailed methane reports, I am recording them and putting them on my Subscribestar channel for my members. So if you want more details on methane, and I show it, the daily, or when it comes out, or I'll put 2 or 3 days together in a video so that we're not missing data. We're seeing the data from day to day, and it's incredible to see the way it's increasing from day to day. And notice the high releases in Russia and Siberia. Now they did have some explosions that they're claiming to be from a munitions storage facility at like an army depot or something like that. But I think that's a cover story. I think that it's more than likely that it was some kind of old atomic bomb or something that blew up along with the methane. And if you'll look back and through my videos, I did a video in June of 2018 about Novaya Zemlya, and it was used in the Cold War as a major nuclear test site by Russia. And also during that time they were testing underground by just drilling holes like a well hole and dropping the bomb down in it and seeing and measuring the reaction. And they drilled these holes all the way across Russia, all the way across Siberia, and it's on Google Earth. You can look it up. You have to download a special overlay. But I give the link in my Novaya Zemlya video to that too. And those nuclear tests, some of them the bombs detonated and some of them they did not, in which case the bomb is still down there, and even if it did detonate, that's radioactive soil down there. So let's say you had some nuclear tests that fizzled, or they did go off, and then it's underground. Okay, so the radiation didn't come all the way up to the surface at that point. But say you've got magma rising, and you've got permafrost melting, and you've got methane coming up, and then methane meets the atomic bomb or radiation and it blows up, and you could have megablasts, and that's how you could have a bomb or a blast from the surface where it would come up and it would have radiation. Now I saw reports also that it looked black, and also there are the Siberian Siberian traps. I did some shows on that as well, and where this area in Siberia was the cause for the last great mass extinction. It's what set everything off, because there were basically lava fields all the way through this area. And so that means lava, oil. I mean, it's oil rich, it's lava rich, basalt, all of that stuff. And so if you if it explodes in one of those, then it could be black from the tar that's coming up, or the oil, or it's a whole toxic mix. And so I really think that when they say, oh, explosions from an ammunition storage facility, they might have built the facility over one of those bomb test sites and then it blew up. So you got a whole combo plate. But I expect to be seeing more and more and more of this, and I feel certain Russia is not going to come out and say, no, we had a methane bomb come up and it blew up the nuclear bomb in the hole, or it blew up the ammunition storage facility. They're not going to say that, because if they say that, then the climate scientists will know that we've got huge methane releases coming up, and it's all over. Because right now we're not seeing the blowout in the Arctic. We are seeing high releases, but it's not the 50 gigaton out of the East Siberian ice shelf, but it's huge amounts being released. Look at this all the way across Siberia. This is the global view. Now here's China and India. Here's Saudi Arabia. Here's the Scandinavian countries and northwest Russia. So you can see where the methane is concentrated. And we have certain areas in North America where there's a lot of methane, but not nearly so much as compared to the eastern part of the world. So if you want to take a peek at 500 HPA, that's about 18,000 feet up, or halfway up in the atmosphere. Let's go back to the beginning there. That's what it looks like worldwide. And then if you want to go to total column, this is reading it through all the levels. It gets worse every time I show it, and we're seeing the red spreading out, moving up into that looks like Korea and northern China there. This is China all the way down here. Here's India. Here's the Middle Eastern countries, and now it's red over Saudi Arabia and over Egypt. So it is definitely getting worse. So now I took the NOAA data. They did not have complete NOAA data for last Saturday a week ago, so I didn't show NOAA data last week, but they did have it this week. So it's been 2 weeks since I presented the NOAA data. And so this is from the 477 millibar reading. When you click on the tiny GIF to click the level on the NOAA page, it shows pressure 469 millibars, but it's a 477 reading. Here we have methane for the world and a lot of missing data, these big white spots, and the mean was 1892 parts per billion. But this fuchsia color is in the higher range right down here. And so the range overall goes from 1520 to 2300 parts per billion. And this is the METOP-1 satellite from the morning from yesterday, August the 10th. We even see very high releases at this level on the coast of the Antarctic, coming up around the coastlines of the Antarctic. So it is coming up, and it's no place is immune anymore. Here's the METOP-1 PM satellite reading for the same day, 1892. Here's the METOP-2 AM reading, 1868. And the METOP-2 PM reading, they're showing lots of white spots or missing data for whatever reason, and the mean was 1869. So I took those numbers and plugged them into my spreadsheet here for August the 10th and added them all together and divided them by 4, and the average reading for the 477 millibar reading is 1880.25 parts per billion. And that's a rise in the last 2 weeks of 4.5 parts per billion. Here it was the last time I reported the reading from July 27th at 1875.75, and so here it is at 1880.25. And I've been tracking this since March the 1st. At March the 1st, of course that was in the winter season, so it was low, but it's been going up since then. It was 1857.25, and since March the 1st it's gone up 2300 parts per billion. And this 477 millibar reading is equivalent to 20,000 feet in the atmosphere, or 6,096 meters. So a little bit higher than 500 HPA, so a little bit, about halfway up. So, it's not looking good at all. So there's that. I'm also going to show carbon dioxide today. Here's carbon dioxide, and this is the global view. And we can see it concentrated around the middle part of the picture, or the southern part of the northern hemisphere, it looks like. So a lot of browns, especially over the United States here, and over those, the place where the high methane readings were. Now we can also look at sulfur dioxide while we're over here. We're still having lots of releases. Not that many really dramatic ones like we were seeing for a while with the Raikoki volcano. This is activity near Papua New Guinea, near the Ulawan volcano, that has been going off, and there have been quite a few earthquakes in the area, so that's still giving out some sulfur dioxide. So if we excuse me. If we go on over here, this is the CO2.earth. This is the daily CO2 reading. August 10th. This is at the Mauna Loa Observatory. It was 410.38 parts per million. And on August the 10th of last year, it was 407.26 parts per million. So that's more than 3 parts per million higher since last year. And on this website, they have the record highs and all of that. Now, if we go to NOAA, it's been rising this week. On August the 6th, it was 410.05. And then it's gradually gone up to August the 10th, it's 410.38. So there's the graph there. Now let's get into the sea ice report. First, I'm going to take you through a slideshow. These are pictures that I've saved from Climate Reanalyzer for the last, 8 days since our last report. And so here it is from Sunday, today, August 11th. And look at the massive melting. And we just have a little tiny bit of wispy part of ice here, but it's melted so far in, and the coastlines are melted. I mean, right off the bat, all of these coastlines are melted, and then on the Canadian archipelago and parts of Greenland up here, it's very thin, or it's melted a little bit along the coastline, but it's very far melted out from the coastline otherwise. So I'm going to take you back through the slideshow, and you can see how it's melted in the last few days. There's the 10th, there's the 9th, there's the 8th, 6th, 5th, 4th. Oh, and that was it. So let's go forward. 4. Now see, we had a little bit left up here, and the extent was quite a bit further out on the 4th, so 7 days ago. There's the 5th, 6th, 7th. Oh, I guess I missed the 7th. Oh, there's the 7th. I guess I missed the 8th. I've had a really busy week. There's the 9th. There's the 10th and the 11th. Now, I've saved some images from the Navy website. This is the sea ice concentration. Here's where it is today. And it goes from, there's no red, which is 100%. It's in the orangey range, which is about 80 to 85%, and then it goes down through yellow, green, and blue. And so the concentration is very poor. Here's the GIF for 30 days. It goes back for 3 weeks and goes forward a week. So that's where they anticipate it to be at the end. Here's where they anticipate it to be in a week as far as concentration. We can see a hole forming right here, and another hole forming right here. This where the lines cross is the North Pole. That's at 90 degrees north latitude. Here is the sea ice thickness from today, and we can see that the majority of the sea ice is in this 0.5 to about 0.75 color. So it's under a meter for the majority of the sea ice thickness. And then a little bit down here, this is where the old sea ice, thick sea ice used to live, and that's all melted. And so what's left is about a 1.5 meter and then down. And then where it just becomes very thin is just this very lavender color, and it doesn't look solid through there either. And then here's the GIF for the 30 days. So it goes back 3 weeks and forward 1 week. So you can see how the melt has progressed in this 30-day period. And here it is, where it's projected out for a week from now, where it's mainly lavender and still getting much thinner. And I created this animated GIF from NASA Worldview, and this is the sea ice concentration. And it goes through the 9th. So it starts on August the 1st and then goes through the 9th. So you can see where it's at now, and the bluer part is where it's less concentrated or thinner too, and just very few areas where it's kind of white. But it's very sad to see this and to report on this, but this is where we're at. And we also have, I'm going to look at, while we're here on sea ice, this is the National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is from yesterday, and it actually looks, the extent looks a lot less than on the Navy. I guess the Navy just counts every little skim, but it's come way in. And here's the chart, or for the graph, area of ocean with at least 15% sea ice, and it's tied with 2012 right now. It had fallen under 2012, but it's kind of tied with it right now. But it doesn't look like that's really up to date. Alright, and then Greenland, this is the Greenland ice sheet. This is this one in the salmon color. This is where it's melting now, today, all around the edges. Here's the melt since January 1st, the areas that have been melting. And all of it has, including a lot of the interior, just a few areas are still white where there's been no melting occurring. And then this chart is the Greenland melt extent for 2019. And last week when I showed this, my jaw fell open when I saw this spike that went up to 60% melt extent in about mid to late July, and then it dropped down, and then it hopped back up, and now it dropped back down, and that's not even quite to August. So all of this water that's melting off of Greenland is going into the ocean and causing sea level rise. It's contributing to sea level rise. The ice that was already sea ice, like the Arctic sea ice, that's melting, that does not contribute to sea level rise. But if it's melting from the land, like from glaciers or ice sheets and things like that, and like in Antarctica they have a lot of glaciers melting and ice sheets breaking off, then that does contribute to sea level rise. Okay, I'd already showed that. I showed that. Okay, now let's look at Climate Reanalyzer. Here it is from today. This is today's weather maps, and here's our maximum temperatures today. And in the Arctic, it's all above zero, except for this one little line going right across. But the rest of it is well above freezing. When you get into this green, then you're getting up to close to 10 degrees Celsius. And so here's the world. These are maximum temperatures for today. Here's your 2-meter temperature anomaly. We've got parts of Canada that's very warm, northern Greenland, and Baffin Bay. This is the air temperature. Baffin Bay is warm. And then look over Russia, right here where we were seeing all that methane coming up. It's quite warm. It's brown and moving into the red zone. So this is 10 to about 15 or 18 degrees Celsius warmer than normal up there. So here's the world. And notice all the blue over here in North America. So this is cooler than normal. And this is from our jet stream doing crazy stuff because the sea ice is not anchoring the air and all of that. It's not cooling everything the way it should. And look over here where we have parts of Russia that are, look at the blue where it's cooler than normal, and then right next to it you have it almost bright red. It's crazy. And then in Australia we've got the east side of the country is blue and the west side is brown right there. And then in the Antarctic we have a lot of red. A lot of the Antarctic is higher than normal. So our readings show that the world is 0.2 degrees Celsius higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is 0.6 degrees higher than normal. The southern hemisphere is showing a minus 0.2 degrees Celsius, so it's lower than normal. The Arctic is 1.4 degrees higher than normal. The Antarctic is a 0.8 degrees lower than normal, and the tropics are 0.4 degrees higher than normal. And now, if we look at NASA Worldview, I'll refresh so I can get the latest image here. Okay, we have all the data in. So here's the Arctic for today. Here's Greenland. and you can see these edges that have all melted. That's all melted. That was ice sheet that's melted. And these are melt ponds, these blue areas on the ice. It's where it's melted. The ice is melted, but there's ice underneath that's holding the water, and those are called melt ponds. And then to the north of Greenland, here's the ice where it's broken off. It's melted there and there. Right there. We might be looking through a few clouds there. But that's where a bunch of old ice used to live. And over here, old ice used to live. But it's all broken up. And we're seeing clouds here, otherwise we'd be able to see more of the breaking up of the sea ice with it being so thin and not very concentrated. Here's Svalbard. Here's Novaya Zemlya. There's no ice here now. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. And look at the smoke coming up. So what happened was that the explosion, and they've had like three. The first explosion happened on August the 5th. So if we go back to like August the 4th, and I'm thinking it was really August the 4th because they're a day ahead with the time zone. So I'm thinking it happened right down here. Now look down, look at the difference in the color and the texture of this cloud and how thick and gray that looks. And this is smoke from other wildfires that they've been having. So we can also turn on the fire layer. So if we zoom out, you can see all the fires in Russia here. A lot of them over here. But it's been burning for, what, over a month. But then this new blowout is like, I'm going to turn off the fires now. Now it's okay, so yesterday or Friday, here's where I think the blowout happened. And then look at the clouds. See how they're different from the other smoke? The other smoke is like a lighter gray, and this is a thick, dense, darker gray. And here is August the 6th. They might have had another explosion then, and see the difference there? And now it started spreading out. Or what might have happened, the explosion might have happened on the 5th and then it showed up on NASA Worldview on the 6th. I don't know. But look how it's coming up. Here's the 8th. See how it's spread out. The 9th. And it's massive now. Look at this cloud going around like in a U shape. And the 10th from yesterday, and here it is from today. And if we zoom in, we can see that a stream of it, it's literally coming right over the Arctic. And that's full of all kinds of toxic stuff. and that will make the sea ice melt, because that's, it's got radiation, it's got sulfur dioxide, it's got all kinds of toxic stuff in it. That's hot. That is hot stuff. Oh yeah, I wasn't done with climate reanalyzer. Well, we'll go back to that in a minute. Anyway, so here's the state of this Arctic, and it's a mess, and it's just awful. And see, no ice up here. This is the east, where the East Siberia ice shelf is. So as far as having a methane blowout, it could happen anytime. And there's no ice there. What you see is just a little bit of lacy residue. And it's also raining up there right now, like I said. So it's kind of hard to see everything with rain and clouds. So if we go back a day or two. Well, it's just hard to tell with all the clouds. But you get the idea from the models that I've shown you. Here's precipitation in clouds, and we can see that this whole arm is going pretty much all the way across the Arctic. So it's raining all across here, and then it's raining where the smoke is coming up to. The green is rain. So, wrong way. So it's raining here, and it's raining across here, right across there. So here's the rain for the world. Here's the jet stream that's all broken up. Here it is over the world. Here's the sea ice and snow cover that we saw. And this is the sea surface temperature anomaly. Their latest data is from Friday the 9th. And now look on the chart. White, the pure white is at 0 degrees Celsius. And then as you move into the browns and the reds and the pinkish color and the pinkish white, it goes from 0 up to 6 degrees Celsius. And so in the Arctic, the pure white you've got right here where the sea ice is left, but then over here in the ocean we've got it going from brown to red to pink and the pinkish white. So that is definitely up to the 6 Celsius range. That's higher than normal. And so we're seeing mainly red and brown and that pinkish white all around the edges of the sea ice. Look at the red and pink and pinkish white excuse me, west of Greenland. It's all so hot. The sea, it's on fire. The water is on fire. Look at it over here off the coast of Japan. and so on. So there's that. And then for earthquakes, I'll just do a 2-minute earthquake update. Right now we've got 519 earthquakes worldwide. Of those, 48 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So it's a very high number, and most of the larger ones are not down here in the event area, but we do have a couple. We've got a 3.2 at Searles Valley and a 2.6 at Little Lake. But in the event area, it's spreading out. I call it the event area. It's where in Southern California they had those quakes. I think we're on day 38. But they're still having a lot of small earthquakes here, and the faults are opening up, and it's not stopping, and it's spreading out, and it's moving, and you can see how it's spreading. And we've got larger earthquakes in some of these areas. There's a 2.5 in Baja. And look at the cluster coming down the San Andreas fault line. We've got activity, a lot of activity up here in Northern California. This 2.4 at Clear Lake just came in. Here's a 2.3 at Gorge Reservoir, 2.5 Red Bluff, 2.2 Bernie. Now here's Shasta Lake over here. Here's a 1.8 Redway. Here's a 3.3 Petrolia. And so we just have a lot of activity right down here where it's all slipping, where it's all moving and slipping. And we've got activity coming down from Canada. Here's a 2.6 at Oliver, 1.8 near Seattle today. And anyway, so we're seeing a lot more earthquakes that are in the higher range. Oh, look, that just came in at 3.6 at Quinton, Oklahoma. 3.0 Victoria, Oklahoma, and so forth. And of note, see all these in the Aleutian Islands and in Alaska. These are larger ones. And down here, south of Kamchatka, see these two? There was a 4.5 and a 4.4 in the Kuril Islands. And this is the Raikoki volcano. Right here. And that's what they call Hellmouth, that became active after 95 years. Back in June. So these are not very far from that. So that could blow again and be even worse. So I'm not going to be doing daily earthquake updates anymore. It just wears my voice out and takes too much energy. But I will be showing earthquakes when I do my sea ice and methane updates. And I'm going to try and keep up with those on YouTube, but the majority of my work is being posted for my members on Subscribestar. So time is short. I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order and get right with God and Jesus, because that's the only way your soul is going to be saved. Look at this. We just had, this is on New Zealand at 4.7. This came in at 1:44 this afternoon. on land on the southern island near Motueka. So, time is short. I just feel like it could be any day now. So, until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.